My beloved child, do not scroll away. I need you to stop exactly what you are doing right now. Look at me. Listen closely to my voice. This is not an accident. You did not stumble upon this message by chance. The algorithm did not bring you here today. I brought you here. I interrupted your feed for a very specific reason. I reached out through the noise of this world to find you. I heard the desperate whisper echoing in your mind. I heard you say, I have ruined everything. I heard you say, it is too late for me. I heard you say, I am a complete failure. My child, please stay with me. Do not close this video. Give me just a few minutes of your time. I know you are exhausted. I know you want to run and hide from the world, but I need you to hear the absolute truth today. I am going to show you exactly why your greatest mistakes are about to become your greatest weapon. Stay here with me. I see you. I see exactly what happens when the doors are closed and you are completely alone. I see how you stand in front of the mirror. You look at your own reflection, but you do not see the beautiful creation I made. You only see a collection of broken choices. You only see the years you feel you have completely wasted. You only see the opportunities that slipped through your weary fingers. I know about the sleepless nights. I know how you lay in the dark while the rest of the world is dreaming. Your mind races with endless and heavy regret. You replay every financial mistake over and over again. You replay the blind decisions that led to your empty bank account. You replay the reckless investments that vanished into thin air. You replay the choices that pushed you to the terrifying edge of bankruptcy. I know the suffocating weight on your chest. It feels like you are drowning in a dark sea of debt and shame. You dread looking at your finances. You fear what tomorrow will demand from you. I also see the deep scars from your broken relationships. I see the sharp memory of the marriage that fell apart. I see the sacred vows that were shattered into pieces. I see the people who walked away when you needed them the absolute most. You look at the empty space in your home. You remember the words spoken in anger. You carry the heavy blame on your own shoulders. You carry the toxic guilt. You tell yourself that you are the reason they left. You tell yourself that you destroy everything good that you touch. My precious child, I know how incredibly deep this pain goes. I know that your soul is deeply tired. This is not just physical exhaustion. It is a profound fatigue that sleep cannot fix. You wake up every single morning feeling entirely drained. You put on your heavy armor just to face the day. You paint a fake smile on your face to make everyone comfortable. You pretend everything is fine. You go to work. You talk to people. You act like you have it all together. But inside, you are bleeding. Inside, you feel numb and cold. You feel like a hollow shell of the vibrant person you used to be. You look at other people your age. You see their shining success. You see their happy and intact families. You see their stable and growing careers. And you feel so terribly far behind. You feel like a silent spectator in your own life. You feel like you have missed your golden chance. You feel like your story is already over and the book is closed. I see the tears you hide in the shower. I see the hot tears you wipe away quickly before anyone notices. I feel every single drop of your sorrow. I feel the intense regret that eats away at your fragile heart. You desperately wish you could turn back time. You wish you could go back and warn your younger self. You wish you could undo the reckless and foolish choices of your youth. You look back at the potential you used to have. You feel so utterly foolish. You feel so totally condemned by your own mind. You look at the smoking wreckage of your past, and you think there is nothing left to salvage. You think the damage is permanent. My child, listen to me very carefully right now. I am not here to scold you. I am not here to punish you for your missteps. I am not looking down at you with a gaze of disappointment. I am looking at you with overwhelming and fierce compassion. You are fully allowed to grieve the time you lost. You are allowed to feel deeply sad about the things that did not work out. Your pain is real. Your sorrow is completely valid. The painful loss of a marriage hurts beyond words. The sudden loss of financial security is absolutely terrifying. The sinking feeling of a wasted youth is an incredibly heavy stone to carry. I do not expect you to just smile and move on. I do not expect you to pretend it does not hurt. I will never tell you to simply get over it. You are not weak for feeling crushed under this enormous weight. You are not weak for breaking down in the middle of the night. You are not weak for feeling numb. The world places an impossible and cruel burden on your shoulders. The world demands constant perfection. The world demands relentless success without any failure. But I do not. I do not judge you for your profound exhaustion. I do not condemn you for wanting to give up the fight. Your burning anger does not push me away. Your deep frustration does not make me love you any less. Even your darkest doubts do not offend me. I know you have questioned me. I know you have wondered where I was when everything around you fell apart. I know you have screamed in the silence and asked why I let you make those terrible mistakes. You can bring all of those hard questions to me. I am big enough to handle your intense anger. I am strong enough to hold your heaviest doubts. Your tears are a sacred prayer that I understand perfectly. Your silent screams are a melody of surrender to my ears. I have carefully collected every single tear you have cried in secret. I have held you tightly in my arms even when you felt completely and utterly alone. You think your mistakes have disqualified you from my love. You think your massive failures have canceled my grand plan for your life. You look at your brokenness and think you are worthless. But you are measuring my divine grace with flawed human logic. Human love is conditional. Human love runs out quickly when you make a massive mess. Human society throws you away when you fail. My love does not. My love is an endless ocean, and your biggest mistakes are just a tiny drop in it. Your failures do not intimidate me. Your brokenness does not scare me away. Stay with me a little longer. Keep your heart open to my voice, because I am about to show you exactly how I work. I am about to show you what happens when you finally hand me your broken pieces. I am going to explain exactly how the worst and darkest chapters of your life are setting the perfect stage for your greatest victory. The world told you that you are finished, but in my kingdom, your beautiful story is just beginning. Listen closely as I show you the incredible power of my restoration. My beloved child, I want you to look at your painful past through my eyes today. The world tells you a very cruel and heavy lie. The world tells you that a massive mistake is the absolute end of your story. They say you are permanently damaged. They say you have lost your value completely. They treat you like a broken vessel that needs to be thrown into the dark trash. But my kingdom does not operate like that. In my kingdom, no pain is ever wasted. In my gentle hands, what you call a total disaster, I call divine preparation. You thought your terrible missteps disqualified you from my grace. You thought the terrifying bankruptcy and the bitter divorce removed your name from my holy book. But those painful moments were simply the intense fire refining your heavy soul. I want you to think about the ancient art of the master potter. When a beautiful clay bowl falls and shatters into 100 jagged pieces on the hard floor, an ordinary person sweeps those broken pieces away without a second thought. An ordinary person sees only useless garbage. But the master does something entirely different. I am the great potter. I do not sweep your broken pieces away. I gently walk into the messy and chaotic room of your life. I kneel down on the dusty floor right next to you. I carefully gather every single jagged piece of your shattered heart. I pick up the heavy pieces of your ruined finances. I pick up the sharp fragments of your broken marriage. I collect the heavy shards of your wasted years. And I do not just glue them back together to look exactly the same as before. I use the pure and liquid gold of my grace to fill every single deep crack. I pour my heavenly light into the very places where you were broken the most. Those golden scars become your greatest and most beautiful strength. The exact places where you failed the hardest will become the places where my glory shines the absolute brightest. You are not ruined. You are being actively transformed into a masterpiece, a magnificent masterpiece that carries the profound beauty of impossible survival. You look down and see a tragic pile of cold ashes. I look down and see the incredibly fertile soil for a massive resurrection. The terrifying financial ruin you experienced broke your dangerous reliance on money. It painfully taught you that true wealth does not rust or disappear in a sudden market crash. The agonizing end of that relationship broke your heavy idol of human approval. It taught you that human beings will fail you, but I never will. The long years you think you completely wasted were actually years of deep stripping away. I had to let you reach the absolute and dark bottom. I had to let you exhaust all of your own fragile human strength, because as long as you were strong on your own, you would never fully lean on my chest. Your failure was the painful but necessary death of your stubborn ego. Your crushing defeat was the very thing that finally made you look up to heaven. You did not ruin my grand plan for your life. You simply took a very dark detour that I am now turning into your main highway. What the enemy meant for your ultimate destruction, I am actively using for your ultimate good. I am a master at recycling human messes. I take your deep and toxic regrets and I turn them into profound wisdom. I take your agonizing shame and I forge it into unshakable empathy for others. I take your total bankruptcy and I use it to build spiritual wealth that no one can ever steal from you. You look at your empty hands and you cry bitterly. You say, "Look at what I have lost forever." But I look at your empty hands and I smile with deep and massive hope, because empty hands are exactly what I need to give you my absolute greatest gifts. When your hands were full of your own selfish plans, you could not hold on to my divine blueprint. When your hands were full of worldly ambition, there was no room for my heavenly peace. The stripping away was intensely painful. I know it felt like a brutal and unfair punishment, but it was a necessary and precise surgery to save your eternal soul. I was removing the toxic infections of pride and endless self-reliance. I was cutting away the heavy burdens that were slowly crushing the life out of you. You thought I was breaking you down, but I was actually breaking you free. Free from the exhausting race of trying to prove your worth to people who do not matter. Free from the heavy chains of materialism that kept you anxious and terrified every single night. Free from the silly illusion that you could control the chaotic universe all by yourself. Your massive failure is actually the greatest liberation of your entire life. It is the dramatic end of your old and exhausting way of living. It is the beautiful beginning of learning how to truly rest in my capable hands. I am taking the messy raw materials of your worst and darkest decisions. I am placing them on my divine anvil, and I am hammering them into a bright sword of absolute truth. The very thing that almost destroyed you will become the exact tool you use to save others. Your heavy story of total financial collapse will become a beacon of bright hope for someone else drowning in debt. Your agonizing journey through a bitter divorce will become a healing balm for someone whose heart is freshly torn. Your desperate struggle with feeling completely disqualified will be the exact message someone else needs to hear to stay alive today. I do not waste a single drop of your intense pain. I am a divine economist of human sorrow. I turn every single hot tear into a powerful seed of future joy. I turn every night of terror into a morning of unshakable faith. You are so much more valuable to me now than before you fell. Because now you know the true and shocking depth of my bottomless mercy. Now you know that my love is not a flimsy reward for your good behavior. Now you know that my love is a free and massive gift for your honest brokenness. You have experienced the absolute worst this dark world can do, and you are still breathing. You are still here, because my strong and invisible hand has been holding you up the entire time. Now, listen to me very closely about this exact moment in time. You are not reading these words by accident. You are not hearing my voice today because of a random algorithm on a screen. This very second has been beautifully ordained since the foundation of the world. You are sitting exactly where you desperately need to be. You are breathing the exact breath I carefully planned for you. You are hearing this message because the heavy clock of heaven has struck the exact hour for your dramatic turnaround. I waited until this very specific moment. I waited until your heart was shattered enough to let my brilliant light fully enter the dark rooms of your soul. When you were proud and highly successful, my voice was just annoying background noise to you. When you were busy building your own little kingdom, you did not have time for my eternal kingdom. But now your heart is completely laid open. Now your tired soul is desperate and incredibly hungry for absolute truth. You are finally ready to receive the massive download of grace I have prepared exclusively for you. You have wondered why it took so painfully long. You have cried into your pillow and asked why I delayed my rescue. My beloved child, my delay is never a cruel denial. My delay is always a deep and absolutely necessary preparation. If I had rescued you earlier, you would have gone right back to your old destructive habits. If I had fixed your finances immediately, you would have trusted money again instead of trusting me. If I had healed the relationship right away, you would have made that flawed person your false god again. I had to let the painful season run its full and complete course. I had to let the bitter medicine do its full healing work inside your infected soul. But hear me now. The intense season of waiting is finally coming to an end. The long and bitter winter of your soul is breaking apart. The heavy clouds of your deep depression are starting to part ways. You have survived the most brutal and terrifying storm of your entire life, and you are standing on the very threshold of a massive spiritual shift. I have perfectly aligned the universe to bring you to this exact point of total surrender. Your painful past is permanently behind you now. Your beautiful restoration is standing right in front of you. Do you feel the heavy atmosphere shifting in your room right now? Do you feel the tight chains around your chest starting to loosen just a little bit? That is the tangible and warm presence of my Holy Spirit. That is the real and heavy weight of my glory descending upon your current situation. I am actively rewiring your exhausted mind as you listen to my voice. I am erasing the dark and heavy labels the world placed upon your forehead. I am removing the ugly word, failure, from your identity. I am removing the painful word, disqualified, from your divine record. I am washing away the toxic shame that has made you hide in the shadows for so many long years. You do not have to hide from me anymore. You do not have to pretend you are strong. This exact moment is a sacred appointment of divine healing. Every single tick of the clock today was designed to bring you to this profound realization. Your mistakes did not surprise me at all. Your massive failures did not catch me off guard. I saw every single terrible decision you were going to make long before you were even born. And I chose you anyway. I loved you fiercely anyway. I factored your biggest and ugliest messes into my grand equation for your glorious destiny. The puzzle of your life is not ruined because you lost a few pieces along the way. I am the master puzzle maker. I am simply expanding the entire picture to include the dark and heavy colors of your profound struggle. The dark colors will make the bright colors of your coming victory look incredibly vibrant and beautiful. This is your divine turning point. This is the exact moment the heavy tide of your life begins to pull in a brand new and glorious direction. But you must be incredibly careful right now, because the enemy knows exactly what is about to happen to you, my child. The enemy of your soul is absolutely terrified right now. He is watching you closely as you listen to my voice. He sees the heavy and rusted chains of shame starting to break apart. He sees the thick fog of your deep depression beginning to lift from your eyes. And he is panicking in absolute terror. He knows that a healed and restored version of you is incredibly dangerous to his dark kingdom. He knows that once you realize your true worth, you will become an unstoppable force of light. So he is going to attack your mind fiercely and relentlessly today. He is going to whisper old and toxic lies into your tired ear. He will try his absolute best to pull you back into the dark and cold pit of endless regret. He will use your past failures as a heavy and brutal weapon against your fragile heart. He will project the absolute worst moments of your life onto the movie screen of your mind. He will force you to watch your terrible financial mistakes on an endless and painful loop. He will force you to relive the sharp and painful words spoken during your bitter divorce. He will force you to feel the stinging and burning shame of your wasted youth all over again. He will desperately say, "Look at what you did to your own beautiful life." He will mockingly say, "You cannot possibly be forgiven for that massive and foolish mess." He will coldly say, "God is just tolerating you from a very far distance." He will aggressively say, "You are far too broken to ever be used for anything good in this world. Do not agree with the grand deceiver. Do not listen to the ancient father of vicious lies. His entire dark strategy is to keep you permanently paralyzed in the heavy graveyard of your past. He wants you to believe that you are totally and permanently broken beyond repair. He wants you to wear the heavy and ugly label of a failure for the rest of your natural life. Because as long as you firmly believe you are disqualified, you will never step into your glorious destiny. As long as you are drowning in toxic self-condemnation, you will never have the strength to pull anyone else out of the dark water. You need to deeply and urgently understand the profound difference between my voice and his voice. My voice always brings gentle and loving conviction that leads to bright hope. His voice always brings crushing and paralyzing condemnation that leads to total despair. When I gently correct you, I always offer a bright and clear path to absolute freedom. When he maliciously accuses you, he only offers a dark and lonely cell of eternal shame. When you hear that cruel voice telling you it is far too late to start over, that is absolutely not me. When you feel a sudden and terrifying wave of panic about your past financial ruin, that is not my peaceful Holy Spirit. When you feel the heavy and dark urge to punish yourself yet again for your broken marriage, that is the enemy actively trying to steal your divine healing. He desperately wants to distract you right before your massive blessing finally arrives. He always attacks the absolute hardest right before a major and earth-shattering spiritual breakthrough. The intense and exhausting mental battle you are fighting in your bedroom right now is solid proof that you are on the very edge of a miracle. The extreme spiritual tension in your tired mind means the dark chains are finally snapping violently. You are so incredibly close to the glorious finish line of this painful and exhausting season. The deceiver knows it perfectly well. I know it perfectly well. And now, I desperately need you to know it too. You must immediately and permanently stop entertaining the toxic ghosts of your old life. You must stop having long and agonizing conversations with the dark shadows of your past mistakes. They have absolutely no legal or spiritual right to torment your exhausted mind anymore. I have permanently and publicly canceled their dark authority over your beautiful life. I bought your eternal freedom with an incredible and ultimate and holy price upon the cross. Do not let the enemy steal what I have freely and lovingly given to you. Do not let him ever convince you that my boundless grace is somehow not big enough to cover your massive debt. My grace is violently and beautifully powerful. It completely tears down massive demonic strongholds in your anxious mind. It violently breaks deep generational curses of deep poverty and painful divorce. It completely obliterates the heavy and rusted chains of profound addiction and deep despair. You have absolutely nothing to fear from his empty and desperate threats. I am your mighty and unshakable fortress in the very middle of this fierce mental battle. I want you to look back at your darkest and most foolish moments for just one brief second. Think about the times you felt completely abandoned and utterly destroyed. Even when you walked blindly into dark rooms you should never have entered, I was right there with you. When you made those terrible financial decisions that cost you absolutely everything, my invisible hand was still fiercely protecting your very life. When you pushed me away in your anger and tried to fix the massive mess on your own, I never left your side. I stood firmly and aggressively between you and absolute destruction. The enemy wanted to wipe you out completely and permanently from the face of the earth. He wanted your sudden bankruptcy to lead to the tragic and early end of your precious life. He wanted your bitter and painful divorce to completely destroy your fragile mind and drive you to ultimate despair. He wanted you to drown quietly in the deep and freezing waters of your own heavy regret. But I stood directly before the raging waters, and I clearly and loudly said, no. I drew a firm and permanent line in the spiritual sand that the darkness simply could not cross. I fiercely protected your breathing lungs when you desperately wanted to give up. I carefully guarded your beating heart when it was literally shattering into a million pieces. I kept you alive for this exact and glorious moment of total redemption, and my aggressive and jealous protection is still surrounding you right now in this very room. Right now, I am actively and quietly removing the toxic people from your immediate circle. I am forcefully blocking the familiar and dangerous doors that would only lead you back to deep pain and profound exhaustion. I am firmly shielding you from the harsh and cruel judgments of people who simply do not understand your heavy journey. I am placing a massive and impenetrable wall of blazing divine fire around your vulnerable and tired mind. You are completely and entirely safe with me. You do not have to fight this heavy and exhausting battle in your own fragile strength anymore. I am violently fighting for you, while you simply rest securely in my strong and capable arms. You do not have to defend your past mistakes to a mocking and unforgiving world. I am your ultimate and perfect defender. If you truly believe that I am fiercely guarding your exhausted heart from the crushing weight of your past, if you are completely ready to let me permanently shield your mind from the vicious and loud lies of the enemy, type Amen, or I am protected in the comments right now. Declare your absolute and unshakable safety in my holy presence. Let the defeated enemy clearly see that his dark lies have completely lost their power over your beautiful mind. Take a deep and slow breath and feel my thick protection wrapping warmly around your tired and heavy shoulders. Feel the heavy and impenetrable spiritual armor I am personally placing upon you today. You are deeply and profoundly secure. You are fiercely and permanently protected from the storms of your own regret. No weapon ever formed against your bright and restored future will ever prosper. The dark storm has officially and permanently lost its power to destroy you. But to fully step into this new and beautifully bright chapter of your life, to completely receive the massive and overwhelming restoration I have carefully prepared for you, there is a bold and shocking promise you desperately need to hear and accept. I am about to reveal exactly what I am going to build from your heavy ashes. My beloved child, listen to the sacred and unshakable promise I am making to you today. Look down at the heavy pile of dark ashes lying at your tired feet. You see the cold ashes of your ruined financial plans. You see the bitter ashes of your completely shattered marriage. You see the gray ashes of the long years you feel you foolishly wasted. You have stared at this dead pile of ashes for far too long. You have cried endless rivers of hot tears over what is gone forever. You have allowed the heavy grief of your massive losses to define your entire existence. But I am the God of impossible resurrections. I do not run away from your messy and tragic ruins. I step directly into the very center of your deepest devastation. I am performing a divine and miraculous exchange in your beautiful life right now. I am actively giving you breathtaking beauty for your heavy and cold ashes. I am actively giving you the bright oil of pure joy for your deep and suffocating mourning. I am putting a glorious garment of high praise upon your exhausted and heavy spirit. I am looking right at the devastating locusts that violently devoured the green fields of your youth. I am looking at the terrible choices that ate away your precious time and your hard-earned resources. And I declare with absolute divine authority today, I will restore those lost years to you. I will completely restore the long years that the swarming locusts have eaten. I will restore the deep and pure joy that the dark enemy violently stole from your chest. I will restore the profound peace of mind that your terrible financial mistakes took away. I will restore the ability to trust and love that your broken relationship brutally crushed. I am not promising you a magical and shallow life filled with meaningless worldly riches. I am not promising that a massive pile of gold will magically fall from the sky tomorrow. I am promising you something infinitely more valuable and permanently secure. I am promising you a profound and unshakable spiritual wealth that no sudden market crash can ever touch. I am promising you an inner fortress of pure peace that no human betrayal can ever break. Your darkest and most painful chapter is about to become your most powerful and brilliant testimony. The very mistakes that brought you to the terrifying edge of total bankruptcy will become the exact foundation of your new and glorious purpose. You are going to stand before multitudes of deeply broken people. You are going to look into the desperate eyes of those who are drowning in terrible debt and dark shame, and you will tell them the absolute truth about my saving grace. You will tell them how you lost absolutely everything in the eyes of the world. You will tell them how you were completely shattered and totally empty. And you will clearly testify how my strong hand reached into the dark pit and pulled you out alive. Your painful story of a bitter divorce will become a bright beacon of massive hope for those crying in lonely rooms. Your heavy journey through profound regret will become a reliable map for others who are completely lost in the dark. I am taking the heavy stones of your greatest failures, and I am building a magnificent altar of my infinite grace. The heavy doors that slammed shut in your face because of your reckless choices are not locked forever. I am actively unlocking brand new doors of massive divine opportunity for you today. Doors that absolutely no human hand can ever shut. Doors that lead to a life of profound meaning and intense spiritual fulfillment. You thought your massive missteps permanently disqualified you from serving in my glorious kingdom. But I am telling you that your deep brokenness is the exact credential you desperately need to carry my brightest light. The world constantly demands absolute perfection from its fragile and anxious heroes. But I demand absolute and honest brokenness from my highly chosen warriors. You are perfectly qualified for the massive and divine assignment I am placing upon your life today, because you fully understand the desperate and agonizing cry of the fallen. You know exactly what it feels like to completely and utterly fail, and that makes you an incredibly dangerous weapon against the dark kingdom of toxic shame. You are a precious vessel of my absolute highest glory. But before you can step fully into this massive and bright destiny, you must ruthlessly strip off the ugly and toxic labels you are currently wearing. You must entirely change the way you speak about your own divine identity. Listen to the absolute truth about who you truly are. The cruel world gave you a very long and heavy list of dark names. The harsh society labeled you as a tragic and hopeless failure. The unforgiving people whispered that you are the terrible one who ruined a perfectly good marriage. The cold financial institutions labeled you as a permanent risk and a massive liability. And the greatest and most painful tragedy is that you actually started to firmly believe them. You looked in the bare mirror and you called yourself a total disaster. You looked at your completely empty hands and you called yourself utterly worthless. You looked at your dark past and you called yourself entirely disqualified. I command you to immediately stop speaking those vicious and dark lies over my beautiful creation. Stop bitterly cursing the sacred masterpiece that I carefully formed with my own holy hands. I am pouring the clean and pure water of my Holy Spirit over your tired mind right now. I am completely washing away the heavy dirt of the world and its cruel opinions. I am gently rinsing away the toxic residue of your own brutal self-hatred. You are not your empty bank account. You are not your tragic and heavy bankruptcy. You are not your bitter and deeply painful divorce. You are not your worst and most foolish mistake. You are not the heavy and suffocating sum of your deepest regrets. You are absolutely not a failure. I am the great and sovereign potter. You are the precious and soft clay resting securely on my spinning wheel. when a beautiful piece of clay becomes marred in the strong hands of the potter. The true master does not violently throw it into the dark trash bin. The true master gently and firmly remakes it into a brand new and magnificent vessel. He shapes it into something infinitely more beautiful and useful than he originally planned. I am actively and lovingly remaking your entire identity right now, in this very moment. I am deeply embedding the golden truth of my unconditional love into the very core of your weary soul. I firmly say that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. I clearly say that you are my intensely beloved and protected child. I proudly say that you are chosen before the very foundation of the earth was ever laid. I declare that you are a royal priest and a permanent citizen of my eternal kingdom. I say that you are completely washed clean by the highest and most holy divine sacrifice. I promise that there is absolutely no condemnation left for you in my glorious presence. When I look at you today, I do not see the massive mess you left behind in your blind youth. I do not see the foolish and reckless investments. I do not see the angry words or the badly broken promises. I see the bright and shining righteousness of my own pure and holy light. I see a brave and beautiful survivor who is finally ready to learn how to truly live. I see a deeply compassionate soul whose immense pain has made them profoundly beautiful. I see my very own perfect reflection glowing brightly within your tired but determined eyes. You are not heavily damaged goods to be thrown away. You are deeply experienced in the profound and sacred art of receiving massive grace. You are a walking and breathing miracle of absolute divine survival. Hold your tired head up high today. Square your heavy shoulders and take a deep breath of my pure and holy air. You have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of anymore. The dark and massive debt of your past is permanently and entirely paid in full. The heavy record of your terrible mistakes has been completely erased from the bright archives of heaven. You are firmly stepping out of the dark and dusty tomb of your old failures. You are bravely walking into the bright and warm sunlight of your brand new identity. But to fully embrace this beautiful and unshakable freedom, to completely leave the dark and heavy shadows behind you forever, there is one incredibly heavy thing you must actively drop right now. There is one final act of brave surrender I require from you in this very moment, my beautiful and completely exhausted child. I see the incredibly heavy bag you are dragging behind you every single day. It is a massive and dark bag filled entirely with toxic what-ifs. It is overflowing with painful and bitter if-onlys. If only I had not made that terrible and reckless investment. If only I had spoken kinder words to my broken spouse. If only I had paid much closer attention to the glaring warning signs. You have carried this heavy bag of profound regret for so incredibly long. It has completely drained your physical body of all its energy. It has totally exhausted your precious and fragile mind. I am asking you to just drop it right now on the ground. I am inviting you to completely and finally let go of the heavy illusion of control. You cannot change a single second of your dark and painful past. You cannot magically undo the terrible mistakes you made in your blind youth, and I am absolutely not asking you to try anymore. I want you to release the tight and painful grip you have on your bitter memories. I want you to permanently surrender the crushing need to constantly punish yourself. You have been your own cruelest judge for far too many years. You have been your own harshest and most unforgiving jury. You have sentenced yourself to a dark and lonely prison of eternal shame. But I hold the ultimate and supreme keys to your heavy iron cell. And I am swinging those heavy iron doors wide open for you right now. Walk completely out of your dark mental prison today. Hand over every single jagged piece of your deep regret directly to me. Give me the paralyzing fear of your completely uncertain financial future. Give me the sharp and lingering sting of your failed and broken marriage. Give me the overwhelming and suffocating anxiety that keeps you awake at 3 a.m. You were simply never designed by me to carry this massive weight all by yourself. Your fragile human shoulders were never meant to bear the heavy burden of your own divine redemption. Let my strong and capable hands carry it for you instead. Allow yourself the rare and sacred privilege of being completely weak in my presence. You do not have to be the strong and resilient one today. You do not have to have everything perfectly figured out for tomorrow. You only have to rest your heavily burdened head against my warm chest. Feel the steady and absolute calm rhythm of my endless love beating just for you. Breathe out the heavy and toxic air of your past failures right now. Breathe in the pure and clean wind of my absolute and total forgiveness. The heavy and bloody war inside your tired mind is finally and completely over. You can safely drop your heavy shield to the dusty floor. You can lay down your broken and useless sword. You have fully and beautifully surrendered to my overwhelming ocean of grace. And in this beautiful act of total surrender, you have actually won the greatest spiritual victory of your entire life. Let the warm tears flow freely down your face if they need to fall. Do not try to bravely hold back your deep emotion any longer. Every single tear is a beautiful and necessary release of the immense pressure you have carried alone. I am gently wiping away every last trace of your bitter and cold sorrow. I am kissing the deep and painful scars on your weary and battered soul. You are completely and entirely safe here in this holy and quiet moment. You are entirely forgiven for every single massive mistake. You are entirely pardoned for every single tragic failure. The massive spiritual debt you owed is canceled forever and ever. Look at your trembling hands again, my precious child. They are absolutely no longer empty and useless. They are currently overflowing with my massive and divine and perfect peace. Your complex and messy slate is completely wiped, completely clean. Your eternal divine record is absolutely spotless and shining as bright as the morning sun. I am intimately with you today, and I will be fiercely with you always. But I have a very special and urgent and sacred mission for you right now, as you feel this warm and heavy peace settling deep into your weary bones. I desperately want you to think about someone else in your immediate life. Think about a dear friend or a beloved family member who is secretly drowning in their own dark storm right now. Think about someone who feels exactly like a total and absolute failure today. Think about someone who is crying completely alone because their own marriage just fell apart. Think about someone who is completely terrified because their personal finances are entirely ruined. They are sitting in the terrifying dark right now, fully believing that I have completely abandoned them. I need you to be my brave and deeply compassionate messenger to them today. I need you to directly share this very message with them right now. Send this exact video to their phone right now. Let them clearly hear my loving voice calling out to them through your simple action. Let them know that I have absolutely not forgotten them either. Let them know that their own massive mistakes are absolutely not the tragic end of their beautiful story. You have freely and wonderfully received my massive grace today. Now, I earnestly ask you to freely and generously give that incredible grace to someone who is desperately starving for it. Be the bright and piercing light that completely breaks through their heavy and suffocating darkness. Be the loving and physical hand that violently pulls them out of their deep pit of total despair. Your beautiful and holy assignment is crystal clear. And now, my beloved and completely restored child, it is truly time for you to finally rest. You have successfully crossed over the heavy and painful threshold of your deep sorrow. You have officially entered the sacred and quiet and deeply safe room of my divine peace. Close your tired and heavy eyes right now. Release all of the lingering tension in your heavy and aching shoulders. Let your racing and exhausted mind finally become completely and utterly still. Do not worry for a single second about what tomorrow will suddenly bring. Do not be slightly anxious about the steep and rocky mountains you still have to climb. I am already standing right there waiting for you in your tomorrow. I am actively and carefully preparing the smooth and safe path ahead of your feet. I am making the crooked and dangerous roads completely straight and secure. You are so fiercely and unconditionally and permanently loved by me. You are my beautiful and totally restored and shining masterpiece. Sleep in absolute and profound and unshakable peace tonight. Rest deeply and securely in my strong and everlasting arms. I have you. I will always have you. Amen.